Hello, this is Michael Russ. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the 3D with myself, Michael J. Russ, and my friend Glenn Brooks of Soul to Soul Matchmaking and unscriptedpower.com. Listen, this episode is really going to be kind of tap on the door of something that you're really not probably thinking about. Today's episode is called Tapping Your Vibrational Energy. Okay, tapping the vibrational energy. Your vibrational energy. Everybody operates at some sort of vibrational level, be it low, be it high, whatever. We're not really aware of it. I talked to Glenn about it. We had this discussion about that and how it kind of works, how it can work in your favor when it comes to really honing in on, focusing in on your goals, your intentions and dreams. You know, actively taking inspired action versus just out there just grinding away, moving away from the struggle of things, the fight and struggle mindset of that's the way I'm going to achieve my goals and dreams, and just kind of really taking a step back, raising ourselves to above the 3D level to just look at where we're going, what we're doing, and what kind of vibration we might be attracting to us. Because here's the thing. I was down in Cancun last week, and on, I think it was Friday, my girlfriend and I decided to take a walk on the beach. We didn't get 2 steps on the beach before we ran across these other 2 gals who were staying at a hotel a couple of doors down. The interesting thing about it is I'm always aware of what energy I'm attracting into my life, what vibrational energy I'm attracting into my life. And this is the most interesting thing, is that one of the 2 girls, these were 2 sisters, they were from, I think, Columbus, Ohio. And they said, listen, one was married, the other one had just gotten a divorce. And she was saying how she'd gotten married at 27 and somehow he had really drifted off and apart, and she had a daughter that she was raising now, and how, you know, this relationship left. She says, you know what, I just feel such a relief. I'm so aware now. I said, it's like I woke up. And I said, that is what you did. You kind of awakened to the fact that you are in charge of your own destiny, as it were, that you are the one who's managing and controlling your life. Well, I write about this all the time. So isn't it really kind of unique how I just walked onto the beach, 2 hours flight away, and I come across somebody from the United States that's actually, kind of thinking along the same lines as me. She was reading some self-help books, kind of looking for some direction, and we discussed my books at university, and she was like really enthusiastic about it, and I gave her my information on her notepad on her iPhone, and I said, hey, check it out and call me. I gave her my number if you have any questions whatsoever. But here's the point. It's really cool to have an idea, an intention, a goal or a dream that you're fully focused on and taking inspired action towards, and to remain aware of those people who are around you that you encounter, that you cross paths with on a daily basis, that can really not only validate the direction that you're moving in, but also kind of meld with your energy vibrationally. So I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to welcome Glenn Brooks. Glenn, welcome to the conversation.
I've been enjoying it.
Thank you. It's awesome. I do this happens to me all the time. And it's because I love striking up conversations with people to learn about them. And it's really interesting about this, because we've talked about this in the past, where we connect with somebody. I'm always thinking about being relational. And we weren't on the beach more than a half an hour. And heck, I had pretty much the story of her life. And she opened up to me about that, a perfect stranger. And that's the greatest compliment that someone can give you, is to kind of help you understand them on a personal level. Would you agree?
Yeah, I had 2 things happen. Kind of synchro destiny. Like they kind of happened in a way that. So one was, I got this letter from this woman. And she said, we correspond a little bit. And she started by, we had 2 or 3 exchanges. She said, wow. She goes, I've never felt so close to someone. And she goes, yeah. It's taking me back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting. Then she says, I got to just, she said it was almost too much. So I wrote it back and I said, exhale.
I think I remember the story.
It's okay. It's a new energy.
Right. She was kind of overwhelmed a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, because see, I teach people that recognition, you don't want to get to know someone, you want to have recognition.
Right.
Very different. So I was really touched by it. And then it was kind of sad for me that she saw that as a sign to pull back. So my encouragement was, this is going to be new. So exhale and then step into it a little bit, get a feel. It's kind of, if you haven't driven a 5-speed Arrow Saab, it feels different, a little different than a 9.5.
Right.
So that was one. And then this woman, Tammy, who wants to speak at my next Unscripted Power. And she sent me these really nice speaker flyers. I was impressed with the speaker flyers. And one of the quotes was about this woman that had all these challenges. She coached at the beginning of her life. And that she left a husband that was how did she put it? Like he was a betrayer or something. And so I called her up and I said, could you imagine if you coached them based on the relational brain, you could have brought them both into this new place, right? So we have this model of the individual, and then there's a model of the relational. So the model of the relational is you're really looking to relate and shift the brain and this, if you will, the soul, to a different place together rather than the regular model. There's a guy named Ken Page, he does something called Deeper Dating, very successful guy. He works with the Shift Network. And one of his big bullets was, why is it that self-help books damage your relationships? And of course it was like, oh, this is the guy's a kindred spirit, he gets it. So why would that be? Why would it be that self-help books? Well, you actually told it in the story about the woman from Ohio. So what we tend to do is we meet someone, it could be business or of course the love game or the beyond the love game. And what happens is anytime we're with someone and there's some kind of closeness, the other stuff comes up. You could call, there's two ways to live. We have our vital song and our counterfeit song. So when that comes up, we, based on a lot of nonsense about personal power and self-emergence, we tend to feel like it's not right. The invitation I have for you is to consider that it might be a wondrous thing, and you just notice this tendency to pull away because our brain has certain tendencies. So when I explore this with people, I play with them on things that's been imprinted to them. So for instance, I have a woman I'm working with now, and I'm exploring this idea, I need men, I don't need men, right? I need men, I don't need men. And so she says she's so in the stance of I need men, I don't need men, that just her with the idea of needing men. It was like we had 2-3 sessions, she was so repelled. So in the third session, I changed my tone and I said, can you drop into I need men? And I told her story. And the story was this very powerful monk. She's a female monk in the Himalayas, and she's considered very powerful. Like people in the village revere her. But she's so masculine herself, and then she gets very ill up on the mountain. And there's 4 male monks who carry her down. And so on the way down, she said, oh my God, I need men. So what happens is we get into these point of views, and we live out a point of view. So a point of view is kind of when you're living out of a point of view, you don't have much choice in the matter. So choice is the thing that's kind of like, it touches you in the moment. Like I called this office this morning, and it was a Canadian office, and I'm talking, she's very, very low key, very down. And I say, hold on a second. I said, I'm calling Canada. Let me just grab my book, How to Speak to a Canadian. I said, I just picked it up. I go, I'm going to implement it right now. And I just sort of play with her. I said, how would you define your perkiness level? And she goes, a 7. And I go, I can hear that. I go, at first it seemed like the perky, and we started to play. And she told me about a little boy who was 2. I told her about my son at 2. And by the end of the conversation, she was going to deliver this message to this doctor that was pertinent to a series that I was doing. So I love being surprised. I love playing with the intimacy risk. And I enjoy, I heard a knock just then, but no one's there. It's kind of like life. You hear a knock, but sometimes no one's there.
No one's there.
No one's there.
No one's there. It's all in your head.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this. Because we talked about a lot there in terms of.
Yeah, I did. But I want to make it simple and gettable, by the way. I do.
Yeah. The idea here, for me, is that I seek to put out myself. I work on a higher vibrational level. I intentionally, everything I do is to basically create this air of authenticity, which is me. I want to basically put myself out there as an authentic person, operating honestly and ethically, and in a way that that puts the other person first. I mean, these certain ethics and morals that I've worked under, under the guise of for decades. It's just who I am as a person, and anything that's incongruent to that, I'm not a part of, and I don't want to be a part of. Because this is the thing. I get people that come to me and they say, "Oh, I really, really want this in my life," and I go, "Okay, and why not?" Then they start talking to me, and then I discover that they've got this inner dialogue, this inner conversation that is totally unsupportive of, in doubt of, from a scarcity perspective, the fear, the worry that they may not ever find it, ever get it. And then this is what I say: look, I said, just relax. And I told the same woman on the beach, the gal Iris, and I said, we got to the relationship part, and I said, well, it's not for me to judge what happened to you in your previous relationship. That's what it is. It's gone. You're the one who knows best for you at this particular point. Let's just talk about where you are right now. Let's slip into the moment of now, and that is, where are you now? And she was talking about how she would just wanted to, just explore herself, get out there and just meet people. She loved doing what she was doing. By the way, both of these gals, her and her sister, were nurses. She loved their professions. They were just over the top about how they were helping people, and evidently she was working for a great company. They both were. And I said, the thing about it is that you set the vibrational, you set your own vibrational level. If it's fear, worry, and scarcity, then you're going to attract situations and circumstances into your life along that same vibration. That's just basic physics, quantum physics, I guess, as they're calling it nowadays, that like attracts like. And if you want to change your life, one of the things you have to start doing is changing your vibrational level. If you don't like, if you have toxic people that are around you, it's kind of like when you change your vibrational level, you change your thinking, you change your thought process, you slip into the moment of now. Then all of that, the people around you will start to see that, and they'll either react to it to validate, which validates the fact that you have changed as an individual, and that they're not really comfortable with this person who's moved on beyond them, beyond that toxicity. I don't know if you've experienced that or not. Maybe not. I have. I don't have people like that hang around me too long, because they can see that that's not it. But I come across people who are in toxic environments, in their home, in when they're at school or wherever they are, their work environment. And if you succumb to it, if you drop to that level, then they'll still be there. When you move beyond that level, you elevate your inner conversation, become more confident, you have a higher level of self-esteem, you have more operating out of intention, then that person becomes very uncomfortable, and they may actually escalate their acts towards you, their words towards you, because they're recognizing this is not somebody who they can, either bully around or talk down to or whatever. You're incongruent with them, and eventually they'll go find someone else who is operating a low toxic level a low vibrational level that they can take advantage of or move into. I mean, that's really what I want to take this conversation, because there's a lot of people out there. There's men and women in toxic relationships. There are people in toxic work environments. We talked before in a previous conversation about a woman working for a major Fortune 500 company who was really unhappy with her job, and who was in a situation where people around her bosses were being disingenuous about, and not truthful and honest. They were basically using some sort of leverage against her in order to make her work harder, and that put a lot of stress on her and kind of caused her to move. I mean, these things are going on in society. People operating out of scarcity, fear, worry, and concern, operating at that level. The question is, what's the first thing that they can do to move beyond that? Beyond simply their conversation, which is where I always go back to. Like, examine that, what's going on in your head and what you're thinking and saying about yourself in relationship to what's going on around you and what you're doing. But what else, Glenn? What else can people do relationally to recognize maybe that this is happening? Increase that awareness that this is going on around them.
I played a really vigorous game of volleyball last night. Well, no, what's really interesting about it is that volleyball is such an in-close game, and I played an advanced game. Mm-hmm. And what I did is, when I felt aversion, I just came out of myself. And the way you do that in sport is you slap five a lot, or you make contact. Mm-hmm. What I noticed was that there was a woman there yesterday, Holly, who's running an emergency. She the last 20 years she's been an emergency room nurse.
Right.
And I really like her. Like, she would come towards me a lot and just say, you know what, that was fabulous. Or she would, because there was one point in the game where I actually saved the ball with one hand. And in advanced volleyball, it's really, you got this two-handed thing going. And so this woman looked at me and she goes, it's not Wednesday nights, it's not intermediate, it's an advanced night.
Right.
Like, I got the message.
Get busy.
It was really funny because I raised my game. It was like I was in recognition, and I went, and I what I did is I got closer. And so I love that because it's happening. You know, this is such a physical game, and my sets for the other people were excellent. They were very good because, you know, setting in volleyball, just like setting in life, it's kind of like sometimes I need to pause and see, well, how am I setting this person? Am I setting the energy bar too low? Am I setting away that? So over the phone, a lot of times when I speak to people, it's totally nonverbal, and I'm kind of setting them up. I mean, I was joking to this woman on the phone that her name was like a homeopathic name. She had a very unusual name. Mm-hmm. And I could tell she thought that was really funny. So in homeopathy, it's all about frequency. And
right.
And so the thing about it is that the level of the delusion, the level of our separation exists at a level of frequency. So we get trapped at the level of frequency, and we don't know that. It's kind of like, we don't know it because it's not, first of all, it's not a common conversation. Mm-hmm. But when we become aware of it, it changes everything.
This is true. Now, this is where I want this conversation to go, because it's frequency. It's frequency. It's vibrational frequency. Yeah. And sports is a great analogy, by the way. I gotta tell you, it is. I experienced the same thing in golf. Excuse me, when I'm about to hit my elbow here on the desk.
Yeah. I know an elbow specialist for that.
Dang. In golf, when I see people are out playing with me, what I see them doing is fighting against the flow. They're fighting against the flow of the sport. And I'm looking at this and I'm watching this going, you know, it's, wow, you have to force it to happen. You have to force it to happen. You see it in tennis all the time, somebody overdoing it. Like you were on the volleyball court, instead of being with the flow of those around you, operating at the same frequency, would be that, you know, up your game, or be it a lackadaisical game, in beginning, intermediate, or advanced, they operate at different frequencies, right? So instead of operating with those people in that frequency, you get the one person who tries to force things to happen. They're trying to up it, trying to change it, trying to move. They're operating outside of that frequency level. You get that?
You know, I mean, when I got there, my friend, he's 20, and he just gave me the biggest bear hug when he saw me, and we just love each other. Because what I say to him is that I call it one tiger, and the idea of being in one tiger means we're all out here, right, coordinating this one thing, and when we're in that, we can't be beat because we're not putting up obstacles. We're kind of in this coordination,
right? And
he gets it. So every often we look at each other, we go, one tiger. And it's funny because it's kind of like, wow. And there's so much. Here's the thing. There's no striving. There's no, there's this immediate sense of satisfaction in coordination. So by the way, we coordinate with people through our breath. So right, when you're harmony with someone. So what happens last night, this is a guy maybe like 3 months ago. And some people really like this guy. And he came, and I remember like 3 or 4 months ago, he starts to coach me on the court. And I don't like the tone. And I can see I'm kind of reacting to him, and it wasn't a good feeling. And so last night, he comes on. All of a sudden, my body says, you don't like this person. You don't like this person. But I recognized, right, that I don't have a good vibe with this guy. So right. I immediately say, okay, no, I want to begin again. And so I just notate that. And then I realized he's a father. So he brings his son, who's like 16 or 17. So all of a sudden, I see it's in my brain. It's our body knows. So my body had this thing, where it remembered him in a way that was like, getting, I had an unpleasant experience with a pit bull. And all of a sudden he's in the gym. And I could see there was two things. So one of my teachers used to say, we get stuck on survival and security, right?
Survival and security, right.
So I kind of let myself just be with that. And there was one point he's serving to me really hard. And it was like, I made it kind of fun. And I was intrigued. Oh, yeah, he's going to really pound this at you. So it was like I dug down deep, and I played with it. Now, this is really interesting stuff because a lot of times in life, the energy's not that expressed. Matter of fact, we won that game. And I remember I kind of cursed. I said, oh, bang, So and a couple of people were surprised, but they all laughed.
Well, let me ask you a question real quickly. Was this gentleman who was on the opposite team?
Yep.
Okay, so basically, was he part of the one tiger, or was he opposite of that on the other team?
He was on the other team. He wasn't a one tiger. Although I'll tell you something really interesting. When I first started playing volleyball, during a good play, I'd run around the other side of the court and I'd slap them 5-2. In other words,
cool.
I run over a bit. I was like, and I love that. It's so
sportsmanship.
I mean,
it's wishing the other person, well. Yeah. I see that.
It feels good. It's like, hey man, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was this one night. This guy was interrupting my game. It was really interesting. He's a big guy. He's got to be like 6'4", and he's making some noise. And I got really angry. I crossed the net. Everybody thought there was gonna be some kind of fight. And I don't know my chances with me, 6'4" guy. But it was interesting. Everybody was like, "What's gonna happen?" And I said, "Don't make noise. That's it." And it was just, I love being enclosed with dynamics. In other words,
lots of that.
Now when I see him, just to give you an update, it's like there's a respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that I think you can. What you just described there was two people with different frequencies operating at different frequencies.
Yeah.
Suddenly coming to the same frequency, but generally, you have this thing you always like to say, which is it only takes one to
yes, yeah.
And to create that frequency balance. And what you just described is you creating a frequency balance. I mean, I know we've all been in situations where, early on, and it's easy for people to judge. Judgment is something that takes up a lot of energy, a lot of time, and it just wastes a lot of our attitude. Judging is what people do sometimes when people come into a room, they come into a place, they see somebody, and they get this vibe, ring, and they have a judgment against them or whatever. Maybe what they're wearing or what they look like or what their hair is done like, whatever. Maybe they're wearing like copious amounts of perfume or cologne, and it's kind of off-putting. And what's interesting is what happens when you just drop that whole judgment thing, because when you're judging someone, it's like saying, I'm judging you on your forehead. You might not be saying anything, but the frequency, the vibe you're putting out is, hey man or woman, who do you think you are? You're putting this vibe out there, and this vibe is a contra vibe, and it creates this silent message, that you're putting out to that other person. When you drop all that and you just say, hey, how are you? You just meet them without all that accoutrement of vibrational and negative energy, a judgmental energy, I could call it. You have the opportunity at that particular place and time to transform that vibration, your own, and theirs at the same time, if they might have been putting off something. Because maybe you never know why they were doing what they were doing, why they were putting off that frequency, but maybe they feeling a little bit unsettled walking into that environment because they hadn't been in it before. And all of a sudden, you become perhaps friends. You have a conversation, and it ends up being the person that you spend the most time with during whatever that time is. I mean, I've had that actually happen, and it's really interesting. Because a lot of times I have to ask myself, is this me creating this vibe of this frequency that's, sort of a little disjointed with this other person? Is it me doing that? And generally it is, so you have to look at yourself. You can't be saying, hey, it's them. Don't be blaming anybody. But we all have the power to change that, right? We have the power to change that frequency.
Well, of course, I play with this a lot. Sometimes I just allow. I remember once this guy was calling me back. This is a couple of years ago, but he's calling me back at something, and he was trying to be very polite to me in a certain way, and I felt it was very disingenuous, and it was hilarious because as soon as I really called him, all of a sudden, here's the thing: no matter what you're doing, pay attention. Pay attention to what's happening.
Right.
So, it kind of escalated in a very funny way, and instead of suppressing it, we started yelling at each other, and it was kind of funny because what we do in life is
You start yelling.
Oh yeah. I totally challenged him. I was like, whatever he said wasn't real. So I challenged him.
Oh, okay.
I just was like, I was like, oh, come on. I was like, come on, don't bother, don't entertain me with a non-story or this isn't even engaging what you're telling me. It's nonsense. So
it's true. It's not engaging.
Yeah, it's not engaging. At least if you're going to go down another angle, make it entertaining to me or interesting. That's just total nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I go, I've been, and I always like it. I mean, I enjoy it when those things turn around. But, I think sometimes we're taught to conform to get along. So I say to people, yeah, don't go out of your way, to fight with someone. But if it's something, sometimes you need to stand up. 80% of people in the business world, they conform. People don't get customer satisfaction because they go away. So when I stand up and something goes down or I assist someone, I'm like, yeah, it's gonna feel different because we're conforming to get along so much that we turn into nicey nice people. And I want to see people be real the same way I want to see people on the stage in Unscripted Power. So it's like a re-education because the message is so much about conforming to get along. So I want people to let themselves, in Chinese medicine, anger is not a problem. Anger is a problem when it turns into suppressed rage. But when you're in the feel of something, be there.
Right.
Or don't be scared of your emotions.
Well, you got to be there. It's just got to be very careful about acting upon, if it's anger, acting upon that anger at that particular point. We got to recognize
anything you could acknowledge doesn't run you. If I'm conscious, I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm conscious, I'm angry. It doesn't mean it's it's an example. If it's not when something's suppressed, it overtakes you. But if you're conscious and you speak with awareness, then the person, they can feel you. I think the key thing is that there's genuineness. It's kind of it's sort of refreshing when someone's there's certain people, they really are themselves with me. And I can see they're very colorful. They're very powerful people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like this friend of mine, she says, don't poke the bear. She's the bear.
Right.
He tells me this hilarious story about this woman who didn't turn off the electricity or whatever it was. And I crack up because she realizes the effect she has. They poke the bear.
Yeah.
And, she doesn't speak to them in a nice way. She grumbles at them and they get scared.
Yeah. Don't mess with the bull.
She's another one left yesterday. And I find it really funny. I think, so yeah, it takes one person to turn around a relationship. So when you're really dedicated, you shapeshift. You really, in my book, Unscripted Power, I have a whole chapter on being a shapeshifter. So it's kind of and I've noticed in myself, I notice when I truly, truly care, there's almost nothing they can say to get in the way.
Right.
I start off the interaction, and it's I'm just dedicated to them. And it's so what they don't like me? So what they have a reason? Whatever it is, I'm there.
Hold on a second. That you just said something rather profound there.
Okay.
You don't allow anything to occur. You don't allow yourself to be sucked into that situation. If somebody, it is what happens to people, right? They do that. And if you make a statement that you're not going to let anything about this upset you, that's creating an intention. That is fortifying yourself. It's also saying, hey, I'm aware enough to know what's going on, and I'm not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe. I'm not gonna, jump into this whole thing. You can do whatever you want, you can say whatever you want. I'm very aware. I'm very aware of what the situation is and what my situation is, and nothing you say is going to affect me. Am I right?
Yeah, it's kind of like you go someplace, and you're there to get the coconut, whatever it is, whatever you're there for. It's then it's kind of like what I see a lot happens in our lives. There's something at the airport that bothers us. We miss our flight, but really, if I knew that flight was going to save my daughter's life, and our perception, what we give meaning to, I mean, it's been such a lesson for me because I get to pay attention in a different way. And you know what? If I dedicate it to them, it's a different energy I'm focusing on. It's kind of like, on my own level, I might have security or survival, but you know, there's this story. One of my teachers said once that he was in a restroom and this guy needed money. And he said the spirit just took over him. And he said they gave this guy everything in his wallet. And he was saying, he was just saying, like, sometimes we hold back so much. Like, give yourself some days and moments where it's like, you don't have a reason. You're just really there with that person. I play with this with people. I say something that is bold and real, and I often get back the funniest stuff. Now, when you play more colorfully in life, there's one woman in Boston. She said, "Wow," she goes, "I so need you in my life." And she called me that, and she goes, "Glenn," she goes, "I want you to know I hate you." And she would get really angry. In the morning, she'd call me up. She goes, "God," she goes, "I love you so much. You give me the permission to like be a person I've never been before." She goes, "It's safe to get angry around you." And I said, "Yeah." It's like, you don't got to be all this other stuff. Just put on the line for me.
Well, let's just examine that for a second. I mean, honestly, you've mentioned that, a couple things. I just want to recap here for our audiences listening. Vibrational frequency, we talk about it. Everybody operates in a certain vibrational frequency based on where you are at that point. You just mentioned the vibrational frequency of love. If you're deciding to from the heart, if you're going to approach a relationship with someone, a connection from the heart, then nothing they do or say is going to disrupt that connection. Agreed? I would say that's in the realm of the miraculous, right? When you're really, exactly. Right? Because the truth of the matter is, I don't know what's going to happen. It's that level of dedication. It's kind of like you come here, you go to Whole Foods, and your intention is to give someone in that store some profound gift. Now, when you live in that state, you're a different vibration. You're not just la 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 walking around. You're going in the store to give someone, you contribute to that person's life in a profound way. Now, the way you feel your feet, it's like all of a sudden you're in a different rhythm. So we walk around like 95% sort of in trance, but all of a sudden we have this mission, right? That really matters. And with the truth of the matter is, when I operate that way, I feel like people see me, they stop, and it's like they open their eyes, and I'm appreciating how much habits and baggage that I've collected that has nothing to do with that level. So when I operate that way, people begin to respond to me in a way where trust becomes this. It comes alive. Where they write me and say, I've never done this before. Right.
Right. This woman visited me from California, DA's office. All the workers said she's crazy. So they go, "You don't know this guy," and she goes, "I'm going to see him." And I met her at the airport. We laughed about it. I said, "Yeah. What should I do? Like tie you up in the basement, send him a picture?" Like we function on scary pictures. So what happens when we really trust? What happens when we take the risk and vibrate something new? What's that about then?
Well, what happens is, number one, you're surprised. Number two, usually it's a better experience than you thought it was going to be, right? Because that's the way people think. And I love what you're saying to the language that you're using. I mean, you really got into it there, because that's what this is all about. We're operating at a certain frequency. We have to become aware of that frequency we're operating under at all times, because it changes too. We based on our perceptions of people, perceptions of circumstances, we start operating in a different way, and we have to be alert to that. Because you know what, I got to tell you, I'm the same person. I've had people tell me, that person is, it happened to me in college. This girl in college, she's a very, very beautiful Japanese woman. Everybody said that she was a witch. I'm using it, actually it wasn't the W, it was the B word, and I don't use that word in my language, so let's just call it that. Said she was a witch. She was stuck up, that whole, whatever that is, and that she was unfriendly and whatever. And all I did was just basically watch the circumstances kind of unfold. I just watched the way she was carrying herself and the kind of vibration that she was putting off. And I really didn't say anything until my second year in school. She was still in the dorms. And I walked in for lunch one day, and She was in front of me in line, and she turned around and said, "Hey, how come you've never said hi to me?"
Oh, well.
And I'm like, "Don't know. Didn't seem like you wanted me to say hi to you. I just had that perception. That was kind of what you were carrying, you know." And what was interesting was she turned out to be in just a little lunch conversation, completely different than how everybody else had typecast her. Right. Which is usually the case. Start listening to other people and their opinions about people. Those opinions are going to be colored by some sort of prejudice in some way, some bias, okay, that they have, that they're carrying, that they want to put that thought virus out to everybody else about that particular person. I've had it happen in offices as well, you know, and you don't know why it's happening. You're never going to be privy to what's going on in someone else's head. However, you can sense their vibrational level. So I just want to recap here just another time. Everybody operates on a vibrational level. One person can change a frequency. Be aware, alert. If we learn nothing else in this conversation, people listening and watching this conversation, is that we have the awareness. We can take our awareness to a level that we understand, and we can perceive what our own vibrational energy is and what we're putting out, and we can actually adjust that, and we can actually put it out to create the circumstances in our lives that are in balance with that frequency. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you know, there's a new song out.
Mm-hmm.
Lyrics are this. She says, "I didn't know I was starving. I didn't know I was starving till I tasted you."
Okay. Yeah. Cool little. I like that. I really like that hook. That's really wonderful.
And then okay, so I do a lot of I teach people energetic visualizations, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I did this exercise with one of my clients, and she said, well, she feels protection. This is interesting. She says she feels protection around her heart. And so when I first heard it, it was like, I said to her, I said, well, that's really great, because now that you see that, let's do another exploration. In other words, let's not arrive at a conclusion
mm-hmm.
or an assumption from that. That's interesting. So your habit is this. So you have the habit. And now, rather than concluding and thinking, well, I got to protect my heart, you have this habit, and now we could do something else to kind of, so imagine if you had more choice in your life. So in other words,
mm-hmm.
It doesn't just happen, you're protected. All of a sudden you realize your heart modulates and subtly moves. So having an open heart all the time is not good. In the same way, having a closed heart is kind of dead.
Right.
So what you want to do is modulate your heart to be appropriate in the moment. So I realize with some people, I have big energy, and it's the kind of energy like I could see someone a couple miles away and we could feel each other. For other people, it's like I step back sometimes. So there's these archetypes. There's the king. There's the jester. There's different parts. And what's kind of fun is to realize in this moment, who could I be for someone? Who could I? And sometimes people do this. I want to say this. Some people have done that for me. And the idea is that we modulate each other. We're kind of in this teamship, or I sometimes call it a relational field. So what I'd say to people is today, I have a new person in New York that I'm working with, a nutritionist, and she said, Glenn, send me any couple. We're thinking about doing this, where they're in the middle of a divorce. She goes, it's all hormones. And I said, well, I'm not going to argue with you about that. As a matter of fact, I can agree with that. So this woman comes in, and she's going to divorce her husband. She says, well, give me 3 weeks. And she goes, your hormones are going to start to change. Let's check in again. She comes to 3 weeks later, she goes, I love my husband. I must have been in a really terrible mood. So the thing about it, here's the thing. We got to understand this apparatus we have. We have a body, we have a soul, we got this brain. Mm-hmm. We want to have a sense that we could participate in a way that's useful, makes a contribution. I was coached this morning, and I realized, wow, I always do this one thing, mm-hmm. and he pointed it out to me. I always kind of negotiate a deal in a certain kind of way. And then he said to me, well, let's say you get $10,000 in that deal. And I said, I just don't think of it that way. And it was kind of like, what? All of a sudden, I call this golden feedback. His feedback was so good because I realized what I did early in my life is I wouldn't say things to people because I realized I didn't want to get their negativity. So yeah. I realized letting his contribution in opened me up. The same way that's why I run something by you. I'm thinking, well, how does Michael's brain and consciousness? This is where relationalist matters.
Right.
Trust is the name of the game. Like when I trust you, I become a bigger Glenn. And when you trust me, you become a bigger Michael.
That's true. Let's take that into any and every environment. Because you said something a little earlier on. I just want to backtrack just for a second. And it was talking about how you actually live your life a certain way, and with regard to frequency, what can I do? What kind of effect can I have? What kind of big thing can a big way can I contribute to someone's life today? Which is really the way that I call it, operating through with a sense of through a lens of wonder. Operating with a sense of wonder, and I get up that way. And the question that goes through my mind is, who am I going to meet today? Whose life can I impact in a positive way today? But just maybe something simple. Maybe it's just a random act of kindness. Maybe it's paying somebody some kindness and with some gratitude. And it's really interesting. I'll see somebody walking down. I was in a hotel down in Cancun, and I was walking down the lobby hallway, and there was this woman who had this absolutely beautiful blue dress on, just beautiful. I mean, she wasn't a model figure. She wasn't anything. She was just a woman, right? She had this beautiful dress on. And I said, you know what? I said, can I stop you for a second? She says, that is an absolutely beautiful dress on you. And all of a sudden she went, bing, she just, she goes, thank you. It's as if nobody had ever told her, said anything nice to her in the past. I mean, we judge people. And I'm like, I just want to send this woman some good energy, because I know she feels good about what she's wearing. Somebody needs to let her know that vibration is what she's putting out there, and that that I agree with what you're saying. Or you're out and about, could be doing anything, and basically recognizing something and pulling the good out of that situation, and kind of throwing it right back at them, and letting them know that you're on that same level. You're noticing, I'm aware of that, and it kind of gives them a whole different feeling. And this is why I like, random acts of kindness. This is why I like giving one-on-one, connecting one-on-one, and this whole concept of trust that you and I have. And it's true. You do call me, and I call you. We've got ideas. I get the same situation with my sister, which is wonderful, because most people don't have that with siblings. I can call my sister and we can talk something out. She calls me, we talk something out. We talk about the thing that's going on, and hey, what do you think about that? We bounce off ideas off of each other, which is what you and I do. And I think everybody in the world needs somebody like that, who's operating on that same level, intuitively, creatively, honestly, from a standpoint of trust, that they can, have that one-on-one, non-prejudice, non-bias, and non-conforming conversation. One that's not, where somebody's not going to put down somebody's idea. They're going to basically give them some honest feedback, just honest feedback. Okay, that's our next deal. We're going to create a website that just basically gives honest feedback. We're not going to just slap everybody around.
I call it golden feedback. And when
golden
I say
feedback, yeah, golden feedback is awesome. I've had a lot of it, and you and I share a lot of it together. And I make you step back and think about the idea and think about the big picture, and you remind me of certain things, some intricacies of things that about the way, because I have a tendency to kind of be in the business world halfway. And in some days I can be in that business world 100%. And then, I step out of it, because this is where we live. As you said, we have certain frequencies we operate under. We don't sacrifice our authenticity by moving between these vibrational levels, as you put it, that you're shifting and you're modulating. Let's call it modulating, yeah. Right? Yeah. We're not all the way down, all the way up. We kind of modulate based on that. But I think the main key is to be aware of what you're putting out there, and is it in line with your authenticity, intentions, goals, dreams, or is it sort of, is it out there willy-nilly based on fear, worry, and scarcity, and all of that right now?
You know what I love, Michael, and I think this is probably why maybe you like going on vacation. My teacher, Wallace Weill, said that hurry is the sure sign of poverty. He also said when you're stressed and strained, I dedicated my life to this, when you're stressed and strained, go on vacation. So when I say vacation, it's not just going someplace, it's vacating of toxicity and really going by I like a moving water, so I go to a waterfall, and I basically let the waterfall clear me. And what I find is that certain places that I meet people, there's a certain amount of purification when we speak in a vibration together, and you could say this is a holy thing, where in a sense the holiness or the higher mind in us or the cosmic mind always speaks through us to each other, and it's kind of why the highest end of going to church or temple or a mosque is that the purpose is to have a recognition that beyond all our circumstance, beyond all the content of our thought, we have this divine exchange going on, and that transmutes everything.
It's
so
awesome.
I like it. You know, when I have an interaction with someone and it wakes me up, I appreciate it because I realize that, you know, the day begins and you all of a sudden have certain hardened perceptions. You know, certainly if you're watching any of these debates or what's going on,
you watch the news at all, you got perception.
Yeah, you could give away your peace of mind in 2 seconds.
Generally toxic perception.
It's incredibly toxic. So, but it gives us the appearance. It gives us the appearance of division and separation.
Yeah.
Right. So when we get into that appearance, we lose divinity. We lose this other thing. I call it the vital song. And when we lose that, we're trying to like grasp what our intellect and our analytical self. And you see, what's different about unscripted power is an example from, I love what my producer says about Toastmasters and a lot of things out there. She says, well, these things teach you as speakers to be able to trick an audience to believe. They say you should be able to tell a fake story and a real story, and that the audience won't know either one. I would say that's sabotage. I would say,
well, sabotage is your own authenticity.
Yeah, exactly. So I really want people to, and I appreciate it's a big risk. And I think one of the things we do to acknowledge each other is to acknowledge risk. I love what you do with the one with the blue dress. There was a workshop years and years ago. It was kind of somewhat of a corny workshop, but it worked. They had a workshop called the Power of Acknowledgement. And you'd go to a trade show and they would be there. And someone would come up to you and go, "Your blue eyes," and they would just come out and acknowledge it. And all of a sudden, it's so uncommon. You're like, you go out and generally acknowledge someone, do it real, and it kind of melts people down. Like, you know, and I love doing that too. It's kind of like, because it makes my body tingle. If I go up to someone and I say, you know, I go, your shoes, or how you get out of the car. Like, in some ways, we're all begging. We're all saying, hey, take a look at this. Like this one woman.
That's the frequency you're putting out there.
This woman would hit me with, she goes, you have such good posture and you move with such grace. I literally, my rest of my day was it. I could just go inside and enjoy the rest of my day.
Isn't that awesome though? This is the point I think I really want to make about this, is that we do not understand the impact that a small act of kindness and acknowledgement can produce. And you know what? I don't even, with this woman with the blue dress, I didn't ask her name. At this place, I didn't ask her where she was from. I just wanted to make the comment. I just wanted to acknowledge that she looked awesome in that dress. And I told her, by the way, that's my favorite color. Thank you for wearing it. I love seeing it. You know, and it's like, you just don't go run around making comments like that to absolutely everyone. But you know, it's like the person who the person who attended the room, who made sure that everything in the room was perfect for us. Her name was Guadalupe, and I always leave a tip, certain amount of money per day for this particular person, and a lot of people I know don't. However, this is, I was telling my girlfriend at the pool. We're sitting there lounging around and reading our books, and I said, if you think about the people at this resort that are busting their hump day in, day out, you walk by them, they've got a serious smile, and you know what how they say it? They say buenos dias. They say hello with their hand on their heart. That's the way they say hello. Now there's a lot of Mayans that work in the hotel, and Mayan descendants that work in the hotel industry in Cancun and Riviera Maya. And a lot of them don't really speak English. They do understand a smile and good greetings and a good vibe. And that's the person that I basically asked around to find out where she was. She was cleaning a different room, and I just stopped by to say, thank you for cleaning 819. That's my room. Thank you so much for cleaning it. And it's a beaming smile. It's like the forgotten lepers or something in a hotel. They just like to seen but not be seen. It's like, and I'm like,
The lepers of the hotel.
Yeah, the lepers of the hotel are the people who clean the rooms, and it's like, you know, they're getting minimum wage. There's nothing glamorous about their job. Yeah, they should be getting some tips. Yeah. They should be actually making a very good living from doing what they do. These people did phenomenal things. I mean, I've got a picture on my that should be showing up on my my Twitter feed and my Instagram that is of these two, I'm talking washcloths, white washcloths that were put together and formed two swans. And she put little eyes on them and little bows and stuff. And I'm looking at this going, how does anybody make something this small out of two washcloths? But you know what? And she, you know, they leave it for your room. They leave it on your bed. We walked into our bed the first night. We walked in, and there must have been 500 rose petals made out in a rose, in a heart on the bed with a border of rose petals as well. And I have a picture of that as well. And I'm going to post on, I think it's already posted to my Twitter feed or my Facebook feed or something like that. And this was like the first night I walked in, I looked at this and I said, I've been staying in hotels for like decades, all my life. And I've never, ever had a welcoming like that in a room. I mean, I've had rose petals thrown all over, you know, the bathtub, and when they draw a bath for you, the butler draws a bath for you or whatever. But I've never had walked into a room and had that effect. And I said, wow, the time it took, number one, to put all of these roses, and you know, things about expediency. It's always like, do it now, do it quickly, and get that room clean because we got somebody checking in. And this, I said, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I had to take a picture of it and to show. And I think it is on my Instagram page, or at least it will be. But this is life. It's absolutely awesome. We operate at that frequency. Your frequency is spectacular, right? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this time because we've been talking for like a long time, and we don't want to make this go on for hours and hours and hours.
I just want to share one story about.
Okay, you share this one story, and we're
one story. One story, because I loved it. I loved it. So I go to Whole Foods a lot. I'm notorious for going to Whole Foods. So I know there's Tibetan people that work there are just magnificent. I just particularly love them. Mm-hmm. There's this one woman, and she always, like, I'll ask her to cut a chicken, and she always does it so well. We always have a good exchange. So last week I went, and I said, oh, would you cut the chicken in half? And she looks at me very serious, and she goes, we no longer do that. And I'm like, really? And she just doesn't do that. She starts to crack up, and she runs around, and she goes, I love you. She goes, I'm just kidding. And she hugged me again. It was like, for her, it just tickled her so much. Interrupt.
We don't cut the chicken.
No, we don't cut it. We used to do that. Now they don't do it. She thought, and I just loved how funny she
pulling your chain, man.
Pull my chain. And the next thing I thought was incredibly funny was there's a hotel that, you know, they gave us a room to go look at the hotel. 701. And this is a true story. So we go to 701. We open the door, and there's a guy standing. He's totally naked after he gets out of the shower. He slams the door in our face. And I swear to you, I had uncontrolled. We just laughed forever. You know, these little moments where it was just an awkward moment. It was just hilarious, though. Like, there's moments, you know, there was these people I knew, their son was going deaf. And they used to be so angry he would play his music loud. And when his hearing came back, they were so happy to hear his music. So it's kind of like these little moments. And when we shift, here's the thing, when we shift coherence, we shift vibration, things happen different than what we could project. So the projected reality, the projected scenario that we all live in, we can solve those scenarios. That's why some people call me a divorce exorcist, by the way. Because they know that when you shift something, there's nothing fun. There's no such thing as you made up your mind. That's a fantasy. There's no such thing as that made up mind. I want to become famous for that. No such thing.
No such thing as a made up mind. All right. Well, I like it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, listen, that's an awesome story, and one that, you know, we've got tons of them. You know what? We should have tons more, because that means we're experiencing life and we're in the moment, right?
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Absolutely.
Listen, it's always great to speak with you. This is Beyond the 3D. This is Glenn Brooks. Glenn Brooks is available at, you can reach him at unscriptedpower.com.
Or sitting in this chair. I'm available right now, actually.
But of course, unscriptedpower.com. I'm in my chair, michaeljruss.com. On Twitter, at michaeljruss. Zerdiversity on Instagram. Go to my website. All my social media is there at michaeljruss.com. It's awesome. Subscribe. Tell your friends about Beyond the 3D. We're attempting to have conversations, and our mission here is to elevate you beyond this normal drone of rapidity, repetitiveness, patterned behavior, the societal norms, the they kind of acting in life. You know, we don't want to be drones. We want to be people who are experiential.
Yeah, you want to come out of robot land.
Exactly, come out of robot land. And that's
I want to say what I took from this, Michael, was if I see a lady in a blue dress today, I'm going to open my mouth and express to her that this is a beautiful dress.
Well, at least if it's blue or whatever color. But it's got to be heartfelt, not just something that.
No, I was going to say.
Yeah, I know.
Right. You got to do it because. Allow yourself to really experience. Like, don't let it be significant. Feel touched, and then share the touch.
You got to have your. You know, it's not like you just walked out of a coffee shop with a cup of coffee in your hand and say, "Hey, great dress," and walked on. You know, I put a lot of thought and energy, more, but mainly into whatever it is that I do. And you remember the thing you asked me before we started to record this live? You said, "How many people did you talk to in Cancun?"
You said 10.
And I said I made real connections with about 10 people. And now that doesn't mean I have their cards, I got their phone numbers or their email address. That's not the whole point. I don't really, you know, one person I gave a card to, and I exchanged my number information with the gal, Iris on the beach, who was absolutely awesome, beaming end to end, you know, ear to ear. She was awesome.
But I want to say with you, Michael, your opening line, I think, gets people. The line you regularly say to people when you meet people in Cancun. What's the regular line you use? Share it with people.
There is no regular line.
No, hey, do you want to see a card trick? Isn't that your
No.
No, that was my mistake.
But you know what? If that is your talent and your passion, that is going to really create a lot of relationships for you. If that's something you're talented at, and you know, you're obviously you should be sharing your passions with others. That is an amazing way. I wish I was really good at card tricks. I'm not
at all.
But you know, I can get up and play some music and whatever. But however, here's the interesting thing about it. The interesting thing is that I'm always finding unique ways to connect with people. And the question is going to be different just about every time. The comment that I make is going to be different. It's going to be based on an inspiration in that moment. Okay? So look, it's been awesome. So I'm going to say goodbye. You're going to say goodbye. And we're going to cut this off and pick this up another time in another episode. And as usual, man, it's always awesome with you.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
Beyond the 3D. Tell your friends. Subscribe. Check us out on iHeartRadio now. iHeartRadio. We're there. Check out Beyond the 3D. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Blessings. Your life's precious. Enjoy it.